The Bachelor Recap, fantasy not so sweet. Oh hello, we're just here recovering from last night's Women Tell All, in which the women told all. It was a bit jarring to jump back into the season, even if it was for the fantasy suite episode, and even if it was to watch Arie graduate from I love that to I love you twice-ish. He said I love you once, and then the second time, he switched it up to I'm not falling, I am. Though he did make the I love you official later on. That's right, then Higgins copier Arie Luyendyk Jr. officially said I love you to 2 women, but not 3, which is why our favorite taxidermist Kendall had to say goode. We feel there are greener pastures or deader ruts, or whatever ahead for Kendall, which is why we're not too sad for her. The question at this point is who will win in the end. If we were to base things on tonight's dates, Becca is the obvious choice. She and Arie have always had an easy chemistry, and their relationship has never looked like a struggle on screen. Their boat date tonight just looked so relaxed, and they're both so convinced they're goofy dorks that this feels like it could legitimately work. But on the other hand, his date with Lauren B was so intense. It's always been obvious that Arie is attracted to her, but she's not very talkative, and Arie and Lauren do not have a tendency to talk about what goofy dorks they are. They're serious, and Lauren can only get more serious if she feels like she's the only girl, even though she's not. She's clearly struggling with the very concept of this show, The Bachelor, on which she is a contestant and has been for a while now, and her need for reassurance really put a damper on that date. Like, we get that Arie is attracted to her, but we have seen so little of the reason why, because she doesn't talk very much, or with very much inflection on camera. But as we've seen, Arie's got a lot more personality in real life than he does on screen, so maybe Lauren B is the same? They really could be perfect for each other when there are no cameras. Now, we need to go back a bit to discuss Becca's fantasy suite. It was less of a suite and more of a tent with a wooden door, and it appeared to be right out in the middle of the desert with absolutely nothing around it for miles. That's the kind of setup that could go from super romantic to super murdery real quick, but lucky for everyone, no murders took place. There was just a lot of kissing and sentences like nothing can get in the way at all, which are always a no-no on this show. And for Becca it was a no-no, because the very next scene involved Becca's ex named Ross showing up after having just discovered the very premise of The Bachelor. He claimed he would have swum to Peru if he had to, but he did not swim there. We have a feeling producers would have been happy to bend time and space and finally perfect teleportation in order to get this man to the set to deliver lines like "That's my proposal to give her." Oddly enough, much of Becca and Arie's conversation revolved around Becca's ex, who she dated for 7 years, which is many more years than like a month. "It's the only girl of my life," he claimed. "I came here to get her because she's the one for me." But do you think she feels that way? Therapist Arie asked calmly as he sipped his morning coffee, explaining casually that he and Becca had already told each other they love each other. "Sorry, Ross." Arie asked that if Becca were to choose Arie and not Ross, could Ross please respect that choice? Ross was like, "IDK, I just gotta get my girl back." Becca was real shocked to find Ross standing on her Peruvian doorstep, mostly just going, "Ross, no, no." Like, I feel like you live your life in a movie and like you think it's gonna work out like The Notebook," she said, echoing our thoughts that if we were watching this from a different perspective, we could easily be rooting for Ross. "Yeah, I do. I do think that," he said. He then gave a speech worthy of a scruffy Ryan Gosling, but not worthy of us transcribing it, and it did not work on Becca. It kinda sorta worked on us though, and we were like Ross as he wandered away. He felt like a fool for coming here, an absolute fool. Becca then had to go reassure Arie that she had no interest in Ross and didn't know why Ross was there and didn't want Ross, and Ross sucked, and so the fool was gone for good. And so we were left with two ladies with two very different personalities and one hell of a tease going into next week's 3-hour finale that we cannot miss. Trust us, if we've come this far, we will not miss it. The Bachelor airs Mondays at 8 p.m. FOMO no more. Sign up now. Entered incorrectly. Please try again by subscribing to our newsletter. You agree to the end. Success! Thank you for subscribing. We're sorry. An error has occurred. As California UK AU de FRUSE. Is everywhere this content is available customized for our international audience. Would you like to view this in our US edition? Is everywhere this content is available customized for our international audience. Would you like to view this in our Canadian edition? Is everywhere this content is available customized for our international audience. Would you like to view this in our UK edition? Is everywhere this content is available customized for our international audience. Would you like to view this in our Australian edition? Ist überall dieser Inhalt ist für internationale Besucher verfügbar. Möchtest du in der deutschen Version anschauen? Is everywhere this content is available customized for our international audience. Would you like to view this in our German edition? Est part une version adaptée de ce contenu est disponible pour notre public international. Sahadas vos voir que dans notre édition française. Is everywhere this content is available customized for our international audience. Would you like to view this in our French edition? Yes. No, thanks. Yes. No, thanks. Yes. No, thanks. Yes. No, thanks. Ja nein, danke. Yes. No, thanks. Oui. Non, merci. Yes. No, thanks. Yes. No, thanks. Yes. No, thanks. C. No, gracious. Yes. No, thanks. Translate to English. 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 This content is available customized for our international audience. Switch to US edition. This content is available customized for our international audience. Switch to Canadian edition. This content is available customized for our international audience. Switch to UK edition. This content is available customized for our international audience. Switch to Australian edition. Möchtest du zur deutschen Version wechseln? Do you want to go to the German edition? Sahadas vos render sur l'edition française. Do you want to go to the French edition? This content is available customized for our international audience. Switch to US edition. Hemos especializado nuestro sitio para tu region. ¿Quieres servir? Online Latino? We have specialized our website for your region. Would you like to switch to our Latino edition? Yes. 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 Ja yes. Oui. Yes. 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 See. Yes.